I think 0% chance Dillon Gabriel is your franchise quarterback in 3 years. It's obviously not Snoop Huntley. It's obviously not Deshaun Watson.
You know what? I think it's unfair for me to comment in I guess maybe on behalf of the industry. All I can say is this: the time that we spent with Shedeur, and what he's done throughout his college career is impressive. He's really, really good. Proud of you.
Cool.
Really, really nice job.
You're not fully proud, kinda.
No, I'm
kinda proud.
Look, free flip side, it was a perfect no, but you made plays, you operated like. So
I love when you tell the facts, dude. No, but it's okay. It's okay.
Listen, you did a nice job. Okay, so just take what you learned from tonight, apply it to the joint practices, and then the next preseason game. All right.
You were the real player now. I'm gonna bring that sauce to you.
I know you will. I know you will. Really good job. That's a great start.
It feels more real now. I'll just say I'm back in my groove.
Picture this: you trade away your quarterback and instantly turn training camp into Survivor, Quarterback Island. That's the vibe in Cleveland right now. Andrew Berry basically fast-tracked Shedeur Sanders up the QB ladder like he was on a moving walkway, while poor Dillon Gabriel is stranded with a clipboard, questioning if he even pulled up to the right practice facility. After shipping out Kenny Pickett, this QB2 situation doesn't feel like some master plan. It's playing out more like pure comedy theater.
The Browns are trading Kenny Pickett to the Raiders in this move that's gonna shake a whole lot of stuff. I've been telling you guys that Shedeur has played phenomenal to the point in practice. Everybody can see the sabotage. You cannot allow Shedeur Sanders to change the narratives for any of them, meaning that if Shedeur Sanders kept going hard in the paint the way he's doing, obviously the NFL rigged system of collusion should have been hitting.
In the end, what the hell is Shedeur Sanders being lower on the depth chart to a Kenny Pickett and a Dillon Gabriel? Dillon Gabriel comes in, he hasn't been a pro yet, he's a rookie too, and Kenny Pickett has had numerous chances to show us that he's nothing more than in all likelihood a career backup. So when I look at Shedeur Sanders, if I see him performing well, why can't I wish or expect for him to be put as the QB2? Why not?
If you're enjoying, please subscribe Shedeur Sanders to the channel. It helps more than you think. The Cleveland Browns have once again proven that if chaos were a currency, they'd be billionaires. Their unofficial motto might as well be, why choose logic when nonsense is always free? Andrew Berry apparently looked at the quarterback depth chart and decided stability was overrated. Like a toddler stumbling into the fireworks aisle, he just couldn't resist lighting a fuse. Suddenly, Shedeur Sanders rockets up to QB2, leaving Dillon Gabriel stuck on clipboard duty and wondering what alternate universe he walked into. Toss in the Kenny Pickett trade fiasco, and the whole thing feels less like NFL roster management and more like a reality show. At this point, fans are debating if executives run the Browns, or drunk uncles at Thanksgiving.
Andrew Berry, he's the GOAT of all GOATs as GMs. Man, just imagine dropping to the 5th round, being a 4th string quarterback, 2 guys above you in Andrew, and you start in your rookie debut, and even knowing that the goddamn owner of the Cleveland Browns wanted nothing to do with you or the Sanders family at all. But you know who did? But do you know who did? Andrew Berry. He gets 100% full credit, an A++ for Shedeur Sanders' pick.
Let's put this in perspective. The Browns just pulled off the gridiron equivalent of trading in a trusty Honda for a gleaming Lamborghini that doesn't even come with an engine. Dillon Gabriel was supposed to be the dependable option, the guy who actually looks like he's cracked open a playbook, knows how to throw with mechanics, and doesn't turn every drop back into an audition for TikTok's Throw of the Year. But apparently, that was too practical for Cleveland. Andrew Berry spotted Shedeur Sanders, still glowing from college hype and wrapped in his father's glitter-soaked legacy like a bedazzled gift bag, and said, "That's the move. That's my shiny new QB2. Sensible roster building? Not in Cleveland. Chaos is always the starter."
The Browns, they did something to resolve their crowded quarterback room. Trading Kenny Pickett to the Raiders for a 6th-round pick, he'll back up Geno Smith after Aiden O'Connell broke his wrist. Cleveland traded for Pickett in March, but then drafted Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. So, Garage.
Imagine being Dillon Gabriel right now. He probably walked into camp, buckled his chin strap, loosened up his arm, and figured he was in a fair fight for the backup job. Then out of nowhere, Andrew Berry strolls in, clutching his overpriced cold brew like it's a trophy, and casually announces, "Yeah, Shedeur's moving up." No real reason, just feels right. That's not strategy, that's astrology-level roster management. Decisions made by vibes instead of logic. It's the kind of impulsive nonsense you'd expect from someone who suddenly decides to buy a pet iguana at 3 a.m. off Craigslist, not from an NFL front office.
But bombshell dropped with the Browns. Kenny Pickett traded to the Raiders, leaving Flacco, Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. And we knew something was up with those 4 quarterbacks in the Raiders in the last video. I was trying to say, hey, maybe that's an opportunity for Shedeur. Maybe that could potentially happen, considering the Browns have been pretty crusty in this situation when it comes to giving these quarterbacks opportunities.
And let's not act like Shedeur strolled into this role baggage-free. The man showed up carrying more family drama than a Kardashian wedding registry. With Deion Sanders turning football into a full-time family reality series, it feels less like keeping up with the Kardashians and more like surviving the Sanders. You've got Shiloh already making headlines for the wrong reasons, Deion posting cryptic rants like he's auditioning for a soap opera, and now Shedeur parachuting into Cleveland's quarterback chaos as if it's his personal episode of Survivor, NFL edition. Honestly, you almost have to admire it. Only the Browns could take a straightforward QB competition and spin it into a crossover event that feels half football saga, half primetime family drama.
Quarterback Kenny Pickett traded to the Las Vegas Raiders in exchange for a 2026 5th-round pick. So if you need to find your way around and find your way through the Kenny Pickett mess, that would be trade a 5th-round pick in Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who got cut from the Eagles, to the Eagles, and then receive a 5th-round pick back from the Las Vegas Raiders.
Meanwhile, poor Dillon Gabriel. The man's probably sitting in the locker room Googling how to transfer out of the NFL or best jobs that don't involve being clowned by Andrew Berry. He didn't even get demoted for playing badly. No, he got demoted because Berry has the impulse control of a kid in a candy store. It's like Gabriel is the perfectly fine Snickers bar, but Berry wanted the flashy sour gummy worms just because they looked good under the fluorescent lights. Instead of stabilizing the room, Berry just doubled down on chaos like he's auditioning for a reboot of Jackass, NFL GM edition. Picture the boardroom conversation. Someone probably suggested, maybe we let Gabriel prove himself before messing with the lineup. And Berry, without missing a beat, said, nah, let's stir this pot. Let's get the internet buzzing. Who cares if we blow up team chemistry? The memes will be fire. This is why Cleveland fans can't have nice things. Even when the team accidentally stumbles into progress, the front office can't resist self-sabotaging like it's their toxic love language.
And then Dillon Gabriel, that pick just makes literally no sense. He is, to me, that is the most obvious not an NFL quarterback that I've ever seen. He is the most like college offense, like gimmicky Oregon offense, not going to succeed in the pro. Like, that one was the worst, maybe one of the worst picks in the draft.
Yeah, it's like if the fucking Indiana quarterback O'Rourke got picked in the 3rd round.
Shedeur Sanders at QB2 might sound exciting if you're living in a fantasy universe where hype equals production. But here in reality, the NFL is not a marketing campaign. You don't get to throw Shedeur out there just because his last name trends on Twitter. You need someone who can, actually run an offense without immediately combusting under pressure. Shedeur might have potential, but he's not some golden ticket to quarterback stability. He's raw talent dipped in drama sauce, and Cleveland just put him on the fast track to crash and burn city. And let's not ignore the Deion factor. Dillon Gabriel, meanwhile, becomes the forgotten man. The Browns just handed him the NFL's equivalent of the participation trophy. Congrats, Dillon, you're QB3 now. Translation, the guy who claps the loudest when the other quarterbacks succeed. The human water break. The one who'll get more camera time holding a clipboard than actually throwing a football. Imagine grinding your entire career, getting drafted, thinking you've got a shot, and then getting leapfrogged because the GM wanted to turn the quarterback room into an episode of American Idol, Nepotism Edition.
I just think the fact that they've got 4 quarterbacks, I don't see Shedeur Sanders or Dillon Gabriel being in a position where they would get a ton of time as starters, barring a Joe Flacco major injury. I think that the ceiling is high for Shedeur. I'm a big fan of his, but he has to come in and just grasp the offense.
Now, let's be real here, Barry isn't even subtle about it. This wasn't some quiet, behind-the-scenes reshuffling. No, this was an announcement plastered across headlines like he wanted to make sure Dillon Gabriel's grandma found out the bad news before Sunday dinner. It's ruthless, it's embarrassing, and it's peak Browns energy. Only this franchise could turn a quarterback depth chart update into national comedy. Fans, of course, are losing their minds. Half of them are convinced Shedeur is the future of football, the other half are already selling their season tickets on Craigslist. This isn't even the playoffs. This is preseason level drama. If the Browns are already making tabloid level headlines over QB2, imagine what's going to happen when the actual season starts. Week 1 could turn into a full-blown circus act. Will Shedeur shine? Will Gabriel bolt? Will Barry walk into the locker room mid-season and decide the new QB2 is just whoever's got the best TikTok dance? Nothing is off the table with this front office.
They're winning 5 or 6 games. Why wouldn't you just start Gabriel or Shedeur and see what you have? You're all in for next year already anyway. You told us that.
Well, you got to think of the locker room, Rose. You can lose guys.
Tony, the locker room needs to know who's going to do because you got to draft again next year.
It's not even that Shedeur doesn't deserve a shot. He does, someday. But skipping Dillon Gabriel in line like this? That's not about performance. That's about hype. And hype is the one thing Cleveland has mastered. Actual wins? Not so much. But hype. They print that like Monopoly money. So here we are, watching Andrew Barry play 4D chess with pawns he doesn't even know how to move. Shedeur Sanders gets catapulted to QB2 because of vibes. Dillon Gabriel gets tossed into QB purgatory because logic has left the building. And Browns fans are once again left wondering if the universe is punishing them for laughing too hard at the Jets years ago. But promoting him to QB2 like this is like giving a learner's permit driver the keys to a Ferrari. Dillon Gabriel deserved the fair shot he didn't get. And Andrew Barry? He deserves every meme, every roast, and every angry Browns fan waiting outside the stadium with WTF signs. Because at the end of the day, the only thing the Browns are truly consistent at is making sure nobody ever takes them seriously.
I can't imagine there's many people that think Dillon Gabriel's a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. I don't care where they were drafted. And if the Browns are the one team that thinks that, then I'm going to suspect it's not true. They don't know what
listen,
they're doing.
They've been on every quarterback evaluation for 30 years.
Right.
I never root against anybody.
Yeah.
But I'd be surprised if Dillon Gabriel's ever a legitimate starting quarterback.
If the Browns were a soap opera, this QB situation would be the season finale cliffhanger. Just when you think the team might actually be capable of adult decision-making, they throw in a last-second twist. Surprise, Shedeur Sanders is QB2 now. Tune in next week to watch Dillon Gabriel cry in the shower while Deion Sanders livestreams it on Instagram. It's football, sure, but it's also free entertainment for everyone who enjoys watching Cleveland self-destruct in glorious HD. The most hilarious part? They've gone through so many QBs, the depth chart history looks like the world's saddest phone book. And now, instead of breaking the curse, Andrew Barry decides the solution is to start a family reality show starring the Sanders clan. Bravo couldn't script this better. The Patriots have Mac Jones and Bailey Zapp battling it out through reps, stats, and practice. The Browns? They're out here making decisions based on which QB's dad gets more camera time on ESPN. It's not a quarterback competition, it's a popularity contest with a football as the prom crown.
Bad news, they still don't know who the backup to Joe Flacco is going to be Kevin Stefanski said that on Saturday. He's just not there yet when it comes to who the number 2 is going to be. And I still think Kenny...
And you can already see Deion Sanders preparing his victory lap. He's going to show up to Cleveland practices like he owns the place. The man won't just be watching from the sidelines, he'll be orchestrating the whole vibe. Forget offensive coordinators. Forget quarterbacks coaches. Coach Prime will be pacing up and down, sunglasses glistening, whispering into Shedeur's ear like some NFL version of Yoda. Trust your instincts, my son. Also, make sure the cameras catch this angle. Suddenly, the Browns aren't just a football team, they're a Sanders family brand expansion. This is a man who worked his entire life, clawed through college ball, prepared himself for this moment, and his reward is getting leapfrogged by a kid who was gift-wrapped in a famous last name. Imagine showing up to a job interview with a flawless resume, years of experience, and professional references, only to lose the role because the other guy is the boss's nephew. That's what Gabriel's living right now. He's not QB3, he's the NFL's version of the guy who trains the intern, only to watch the intern become his boss in 2 weeks.
Just when I was getting ready to wrap up for the day, the Browns do something to change up my content plan. But Kenny Pickett, it finally happened. The Browns traded him, and they got back more than I thought they were going to get back for Kenny Pickett. Look, there's a lot you can say about Andrew Berry. There's a lot of things you can like about Andrew Berry and not like about Andrew Berry. There's a lot of things you could debate about Andrew Berry, right? Does he take too many risks on problematic players?
And the Pickett trade, let's drag that mess some more. Because it's not like the Browns had to trade for Kenny Pickett in the first place. No one was begging for that move. It was like watching someone rescue a raccoon from a dumpster and then being shocked when it claws their face. Pickett didn't fix Cleveland's quarterback room, he set it on fire. And Berry, instead of grabbing an extinguisher, poured gasoline on top and tossed in Shedeur Sanders as kindling. This isn't football management, this is pyromania with cleats. The NFL is laughing. And what about Deshaun Watson in all this? The so-called QB1. The man already has enough pressure on him, but now he's got to deal with a QB2 who's basically a walking TMZ headline. You think Watson wants to answer questions about whether Shedeur should replace him after a bad game? Because you know it's coming. The first time Watson throws an interception, the Cleveland fanbase will start chanting for Shedeur like he's the Messiah. Gabriel? He won't even get mentioned. He'll be in the corner, invisible, probably holding a clipboard with doodles of escape routes out of Cleveland.
In a way, it's kind of a sigh of relief. Like, I'm gonna be honest, getting rid of Kenny Pickett to me is a sigh of relief, because all I've heard over and over again, Browns are gonna carry 4 quarterbacks, Browns are gonna carry 4 quarterbacks, and we've been sitting here time and time again, and I've told you guys, it feels like I just don't know feasibly how they go through and do that.
But here's the real kicker. What happens if Shedeur actually does get thrown into a game? This isn't college. This isn't Pac-12 defenses that collapse under pressure like wet cardboard. This is the NFL. If Berry thinks Shedeur's hype will magically translate into highlight reels, he's in for a rude awakening. NFL defenses don't care about your last name. They don't care about your dad's swagger. We can't admit we messed up, so let's just call it progress. The saddest part is Cleveland fans deserve better. These people are loyal to a fault. They've suffered through more heartbreak than a Taylor Swift album. They show up in the snow, in the rain, in the kind of soul-crushing mediocrity that would make other fanbases quit. And what do they get for their loyalty? They get Andrew Berry treating the QB depth chart like a roulette wheel. Spin the wheel, oh, look, Shedeur Sanders is QB2. Sorry, Gabriel, better luck next time.
More breaking news today is effing insane. The Las Vegas Raiders have just traded for quarterback Kenny Pickett from the Cleveland Browns. The Raiders are sending a 5th round pick, which I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little bit surprised that it's giving up a 5th-round pick for Kenny Pickett. Now, he was drafted in the 1st round with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's been battling some injuries this offseason, but a lot of quarterbacks on that Cleveland roster. And I guarantee you this, if you would have told people the Raiders were trading for a Browns quarterback, I don't think many people would have said it was Kenny Pickett.
The fact that Shedeur had the fewest attempts, he was the most efficient and most productive with the fewest reps. Again, not a mathematician, but that feels important to me. The Herd newsroom is calling it in Ohio by a landslide. Shedeur Sanders should be starting. All I know, with very average personnel outside of Travis Hunter, against the very best teams he played. They didn't win games, but he was highly productive.
Even the dog pound has to be tired of this. Those fans wear dog masks, bark at strangers, and live for chaos, but even they didn't sign up for this reality TV nonsense. Imagine them sitting in the stands, holding signs like, bench the hype, play the guy who can actually throw. It won't matter. Because Barry is running this like a circus, and the Sanders family is the headlining act. In fact, Cleveland might as well rebrand the franchise. Forget the Browns. Call them the Cleveland Sanders. Put Dion on the helmets, add sunglasses to the logo, and let the whole family run the show. At least then they'd be honest about what's happening. Because right now, the Browns are pretending it's football when really, it's just a marketing campaign disguised as a depth chart. Cleveland isn't building a team, they're building a reality TV set. So congratulations, Andrew Berry. You've done it again. You've taken something simple, a quarterback depth chart, and turned it into a full-blown circus. Shedeur gets the spotlight, Gabriel gets the shaft, and Browns fans get another reminder that hoping Cleveland is just a setup for disappointment.
Last night, Kenny Pickett, after the injury to Aiden O'Connell of the Raiders, they were looking for a veteran backup, and the Browns trade Kenny Pickett to the Raiders for a 5th-round pick. And the Browns become the first team, TA was saying this, because when I suggested that the Raiders might trade for Kenny Pickett, TA had said, I don't think it's not going to happen, because no quarterback that's been traded for has been ever traded again in the same calendar year.
Show go down, they giving it to Shedeur. I just think that's how they, if it don't go right, they'll give it. If Kenny Pickett don't practice this week with the real squad, next week and that week of the game, then there's no way he could be QB2. There's no way they could really enter that game with him at QB2. That would be impossible. Now, if they feel like they want to call that certain type of game for DG, and then let these teams whoop them up with calling this like slants, curls, outs, and they just sit on them routes and cover 2.
At the end of the day, Cleveland didn't just reshuffle a depth chart, they rewrote the playbook for chaos. Andrew Berry crowned Shedeur Sanders QB2 not because of performance, but because drama sells, and Dillon Gabriel got tossed into the NFL's version of witness protection. The Browns don't want stability, they crave headlines, hype, and heartburn. Fans deserve a football team, but instead, they got a reality show where touchdowns come second to theatrics. So buckle up, Cleveland. Your season isn't about wins and losses, it's about how spectacularly this circus can collapse in prime time.